guys, I'm watching another video. In today's video, we are going to be doing alternate history part 3. Not alternate history, sorry, alternate future part 3, attempt 2. And we are, right off the bat, we're going to be jumping over here in the North Americans once again. And see, the U.S. doesn't just like being Alaska, because this is the Republic of the United States. And this is the Democratic Republic of the United States. So, but we're going to go ahead and have pretty much a rebellion forming right in the middle of this area. It doesn't start off too big, so the Canadians weren't that worried about it. The British war, but you can sort of see that these guys were getting ready for this because they sort of like mapped out where the Canadian troops, everyone's troops sort of weren't going. So they started with the rebellion right here, and then they quickly build up a military. There's going to be a lot of battling happening on this front right here. I just want to tell you guys right now. There's a lot of battling There's going to be a lot of battling happening on that front, but you go ahead, have them taking a little bit of this, and also them taking a little bit of this land. But the Canadians finally do realize that this might be a threat, so they step back in and push out right here. And they also do push them back right here. So the Canadian Army has been growing, and Canada as a whole country is now pretty much the third strongest country in the world. Well, not the third, I meant fourth. Economical wise, fifth. So Canada's pretty strong. Germany's third. Russia's second, and China's first. So, with that, you have them looking like that, but they don't give up quite yet. They go ahead and push down some. And the British are sending a lot of troops down here. Same with the French, because, well, not as much as the British, but the British is sending a lot of troops up here, because they know what happened last time the U.S. rose up. That didn't go so well. And guess what? One of the British worst nightmares, having the 13 colonies back, well, that's not a nightmare. But the nightmare is, well, the rebellion has popped up in the British land. So, a lot of the U.S. people are definitely not happy being under this control. Some New Yorkers rose up also, and their plan was just to pretty much stay away from the border of the British, because they know that they were sending a bunch of troops there. You also have you don't have a rebellion happening here yet. But you do end up having a rebellion happening in Texas, which is right here. And this is going to be the big rebellion, but not the main rebellion. So that's what the Texas rebellion looks like. And now with that, the Texas rebellion is strong, but they weren't really expecting the Mexican army to be this ready for a rebellion. Because they were like, well, I don't really trust the Americans to not rise back up, so I'm gonna get my troops ready to fight Americans. So that's pretty much what they did, and that's why they were so ready. But the Texans are able to hold on to some of their past land. But back to this border. They end up pushing the Canadian army out, but then they They don't give up quite yet. They go ahead and push back out. And see what I mean by there's going to be a lot of fighting happening here? Because there's a major city right here and right there. So pretty much the rebellion's capital is right there, and the Democratic Republic of the USA's capital is right there. So that's why there's going to be a lot of fighting. That capital's been taken a couple times, so it's their turn to take that capital. But they eventually do push back and take back their capital. So if you're wondering why there are so much fighting happening on this border, that's why. You now have the Texans. They push out a little bit more. Now you go ahead, push out here. They try to sort of spearhead, but once again, the Mexican army is there and ready to stop them. Oh yeah, and Hawaii, they're going the Switzerland route. They're going peaceful. And then you finally have the pretty much Alaska joining this war. Well, no, the USA joining this war because they want their old land back. So this is the US joining the war. You know how in the last war Canada wasn't affected at all, pretty much? Well, they weren't invaded at all. Well, they weren't really ready for the US to join. I don't know why, because, well, they should have been ready. So it's kind of awkward between the rebellion and the USA because they're the same, but they have two different capitals. So these rebellions is right there, like I said, and their rebellion is wherever the Alaskan capital is. I don't remember. Nope, they are not fully invaded yet. And now you have these guys. These guys start to realize, let's just put troops on this border. Wait, they just said, okay, well, let's put troops on this border. Let's put troops on this border. Leave that there, and then let us two push. Leave troops on this border, and then get these guys to push, and then we're connected. So right now, their main goal is to connect with each other. This is going to be the hardest, because they are facing some major resistance by the British. Pretty much like 90% of the British army is over here. And these guys are collapsing hard. Yeah, the Canadian army is over here a little bit. But actually these guys probably be the hardest to reach. They do end up connecting with that little encirclement. And they go ahead and make no, that's wrong. They go ahead and make the way down to the British border, which they did not want to do, but they had to save their ally, I guess. And it actually goes really well. They end up sticking to what they have, pretty much. And now with that, you have them getting all of this. Also, I was thinking of this Roblox idea, guys. You guys can comment and say if you guys would like to see this or not. So this would be an idea from another YouTuber. It's Cat in Pet Simulator 99. Cat 2 Huge. If you guys would like to see that, then please tell me and I will record it. So, yeah. I will be using an account that I already have the Train Plaza unlocked. But I will delete all of my stuff, pretty much. Okay, so you have the rebellion pushing out and taking this with them connected. Their goal is to keep this encircled for as long as possible. this little strip of land, because this holds a very important part of the British land. But finally, they realize that that's not a good idea, because the British is just throwing a whole bunch of troops in here. The reason why they realize that isn't a good idea is because they started to realize that the British is about to break this, because the British are pushing from here, and the British are pushing from here. So they end up taking these troops from here and put it here. And the British are actually really happy with how they're doing this, is because they're doing it a lot better. But they do end up thickening this out and pushing these guys back. But since the amount of troops down here is just a massive amount, they decide to actually abandon this border right here, move all the troops that were there down to here and then there, because the main fighting was happening there, because the troops were regathering and getting ready to come around and then fight here. But they realized that that'll be the better way. And once those troops happen, once those troops move, you have them pushing out and taking a lot of land. And then the British king is like, did I really make the right choice? And then he says, I'll find out, because it's not so thin right there anymore. Also, yes, there's a lot of fighting happening on this border right now. And yes, there's a lot of fighting happening on this border right now. I'm just not changing them, because the main fight is happening over here. And then you have a lot of the British, and then you have all that British army happens right there. This is almost encircled, because it tries to cut it off, but it doesn't. And then that front line is finally hold down by the blue. Oh yeah, and once again you have the blue team pushing out, and they actually fully end up taking all of this. But that wasn't before. No, that's the wrong color. Before they go ahead and push out here, and then push back and take back their capital. So right now these guys are struggling. So this is why the main push happens, because they don't want to lose their main area. Oh yeah, also there's a lot of fighting happening over here, but it's becoming winter. These guys are starting to settle down for the cold winter, so they end up starting out like this, and then they flatten that, and then they say, hey, you gotta do the rest, Texas. So Texas goes ahead and does the rest pretty much. Oh, that is not what I meant to do. Texas goes ahead and does the rest. And it is a brutal fight, but they eventually do meet up. Oh my god, that looks kind of like a clover. Okay, and now with that, you have, with all of those guys meeting up, well, with those two guys meeting up, you have a lot more success from the blue team over here, because it's still a little bit warm. It's not fully winter yet down here. Up here it is, so that didn't happen. They do end up pushing back here. But see, the Canadians, they're built for the cold. They said, okay, well, we don't need to push the Alaskan front back, because, well, they're settling for the cold because they're Americans. Americans are weak. But the Canadians, they're like, oh, we are built for the cold, so we'll just hold down that front line and push out. Remember, their capital is right there? I know, it's like right there. and theirs is right there. So they have taken the capital, taken the capital, and now you have a lot of battling happening on this front. This is actually one of the most bloodiest battles that is about to happen in this area. Well, pretty much this whole area over here. This is going to be one of the most bloodiest battles that I've had in this series. Because you have them slowly pushing down. And there was a British man that came over here. There was a British spy. Well, an American spy that was just coming back from America, well, just coming back from the British, that, but this was before the States collapsed, but, he had a British accent after all those years of undercover, and he was killed for being British. So that was the last call for the British, and they call that the last straw. But they don't really do much about that because they thought it was important, because it was a government official. It wasn't. But they still felt like the Americans do not deserve. But what they are doing is, you see this little island right here? This is under the control over the British. Okay? Because this is under the control of the British. And they're getting ready to, they are piling all the troops that they can out here. And then they're sending out ships. Sorry. Then they're sending out ships all the way out there. And now they build up more in this island. Then they send out more ships. So there is a fleet of ships ready right here to just and just annihilate everyone in their sight. But then you go ahead and have them the Canadians losing some more land, and eventually that happens. And this is where the big connection happens. They try to go down from the very little warmth that is down here left, because it's like not too cold, but it's gonna be a little bit chilly down here. So they're still able to push down here, but the Canadians, they're fine. So the reason why this rebellion is still around is because they finally declared that this is not their capital. The Alaskan capital is. So with that, you have the Canadians finally pushing down because most troops have left this area because how cold it is, and they were told that they don't really need to stay up there. So they go ahead and have these guys go ahead and push down and then make an encirclement right here. They've learned from these guys' mistakes, and don't let them keep this. Don't keep this encirclement, which is actually really smart, because the Canadians were planning on a rescue mission. But before all those troops died, they go ahead and activate that, and they save all those troops that were encircled, or at least the rest of them. But yeah, that doesn't go so well for much longer. Next off, you have them taking this. They train some soldiers up here in the coldest part to go fight in the cold. These guys were pretty much ready for the cold, so they go ahead and start the spearhead, and they are finally ready to attack. And with that, they finally reached the border of the. I'm not gonna say the full name. I'm just gonna say the U.S. rebellion. And now, with that, you have them pushing back a little bit here, but that doesn't last for too long because, you know, the Canadian Army is here. But finally, they go ahead and connect up here. They still technically do not have their old capital, but the American Revolution is going pretty well for the Americans. See, so I'm not playing favoritism. If you guys thought I was, I am not. There we go. So now with that you have, oh, that is the border. But now with that you have, the Americans fully connected, except for here. They need to connect here. Sorry, my dog is entering the room. Hello, puppy. Hi. Okay, so back to the video. So, my dog entered the room. But, yeah. And next off, you have a little bomb called, Small Boy. That is the name, Small Boy. It is dropped right there, right there, right there, right there, and right there, right there. Those are major military bases. Also right there. They drop them on some major amount of troops. Because the Canadians do have air support. Okay, they have the better air force. Over here, in this circle, they have the better air force in here. And that's why they are able to drop all these bombs on here. And they go ahead and take that to their advantage. And now with that, you have most of those areas being the ones that were close to the capital. I mean, not the capital, the border. Getting invaded. Oh, that is the wrong color. And see, now with that very vicious thing, the vicious bombing, the states realize that they should drop their only nuke that they have left. This is Big Bomb. This is Nuke. They drop the nuke, but see, they start from flying over here, and then their main goal is to fly and then kill all of those British troops out there. But that doesn't go to plan because they end up because they did it with a plane, because that's the only nuke that they have usable. They go ahead, take that, and it goes. But then the Canadians, they go ahead and go pew 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 pew, and they shoot at that, and then it goes. They sort of thought that I might even landing there, but it goes pew, pew, and it lands right there. And guess what? That is a major city, and this is when the American Revolution starts to fall apart, because that destroyed a lot of morale. Whole bunch of troops were killed then. And they were finally cut off from each other once again. They still are quite close, but soon they will be cut up into more pieces, with that area cut off. This area. So now the American Revolution is starting to look like it was not going to go so well, because the French just got here, And right before the Texans marching to here, they got here and at the perfect time, and they went ahead and helped out these guys. Well, helped out the Mexicans, and they took all of this. Well, not all of that. Sorry, that is wrong. They end up helping all of this. They helped the Americans take back all of this land. So they say, okay, well, we can't go through that, so why don't we just go around it? And that is exactly what happens. They do meet up with the British. And the British and the Canadians and the Mexicans say, hey, French, if you can stop them from connecting, we'll give you, if you can stop these two from connecting, then we will go ahead and give you, we'll give you up there, down, and there. And they say, okay. But that doesn't go so well until it does, because the French were ready for this invasion. They were building up a lot of troops. And they end up going ahead and invading all of that. So now they sort of have to redirect it to there. But now they have a whole bunch of crazy French people running up here and invading a lot of land. Also, the British and these guys do end up taking this thing out eventually. This is actually gonna be I'm just gonna spoil something, guys. That is the last thing that stands of the, well, not the last thing, but one of the last things before the peace treaty is signed. Because if they didn't drop that nuke, they probably would have won this war. They probably could have just built up they probably just could have built up an air force and then kept on pushing and then pushed the Canadians out, taken back the capital and all of that stuff, and they probably would have won the war. Dropped the nuke on the Canadians or Mexicans or the British. Most likely the British, because these guys have been holding out for a little while. But because I'll show you what was the British were about to do. We'll call it E-Day, because you know D-Day, E-Day. All those British troops just did all of this. The U.S. now knows that dropping that nuke was the biggest mistake, and they will most likely lose this war. And the best that they can get out of it is the very little land that Alaska has taken. Oh, wait, Canada didn't forget about that. Oh, no, we are so getting nothing out of this war. Because, well, guess what? Canada is now finally pushing in, and they are starting to care about Alaska, because this is probably one of the main reasons why they were doing all of this damage. But before all hope was lost, the Canadians didn't really kill those people, all those troops. They retreated. Not a single soldier was lost in that single battle. Not on the Canadian side, not on the US side. And Canada says, Mexico, secure all of this land. And they say, okay. Canada tries to secure that land right there, and they do. But what Mexico doesn't realize is what they meant by that land. They meant their whole coastal line. Because Alaska just did a very big thing. They are the main reason why this war will continue. They are the main reason why they might still win. Because their soldiers' morale didn't go down. The rebellions did. Because they technically didn't really lose much. That was Canadian. I mean, that was the U.S. land before. But it wasn't, technically still isn't. That's still owned by the I can't say it anymore. The U.S. puppets land. So, why should they really care about that land? And that's what the government said. So, yeah. Sorry for that beeping. Now with that, you have the Mexicans scared. Because you have them, the Americans, on two fronts. And they are probably going to lose. Because you have a really big... Oh, wrong color. You have a really big push from the Alaskans or the U.S. over here. And then you finally have their spearhead forming. And now they connect. I know this does not seem possible. Because it isn't. This probably will never happen in your life. And if it does, I guess I can tell time. I guess I can look into the future. But I don't know. We're about like 200 years into the future. So, you know, humans have made a lot of advances. And we'll just say that, that global warming just stopped because of, well, everyone just started being smart. But the peace treaty is finally signed, and I will draw it up for you guys, and I will show you what that looks like. So I'll see you guys in a second. Okay guys, so this is the peace treaty. I'm gonna go over it. So you have the US finally back. This is what they are left. But you have the Canadians gaining this land right here. But you do have them also gaining this land from Mexico. Mexico does not gain any land from this war. But the French, they gain a fair amount of land. So the French gain all of this land over here. And the British gain all of this land right here. So it did go well for the British. And pretty much the only true red team loser on this was the Mexicans. Sorry if any of my viewers are Mexicans, but I don't really think any of them are because, well, I don't really get that many viewers. So, this will probably be the end of the North American, this will probably be a big part of it, of if the US comes back and starts taking back some old land. But the probably main first one that they're gonna go for is probably Hawaii, because what are they gonna do to the Red Alliance? You can see that they own 90% of the world. I forgot about this little part right here. Yeah, so this is now the US. They have Alaska still, and they have that. And so yeah, that's what this looks like so far. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.